Now right off the bat, I'll tell you my favorite Roman emperor was Caligula. But I thought this guy was called Caesar in Fallout 76, right? It's Caesar? Kind internet denizens, I return once again from the dank, odorous basement in which I dwell to upgrade and break down precons from the Fallout universe. This one is kinda all over the place, needs a little more tweaking, but the rewards you reap are pretty tremendous. So let's do a $20 upgrade. We're gonna get it running smooth like refried beans, brother. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. You know, it's free for you and helps me tremendously. Alright, let's come out of the gate swinging with Caesar, Legion's Emperor. 1 red, white, and a black for a legendary creature, human soldier. It's a 4/4. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose 2. Create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. You draw a card, you lose 1 life. Or Caesar, Legion's Emperor, deals damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control the target opponent. This guy loves sitting down, man. He sits down to pee, brother. Never gets up. Never has to attack himself, which is good, because he's got no evasion or protection. It's just a 4/4. I believe you have to attack with at least 1 creature. But guess what? You can just attack with one of your little tokens that you're going to sacrifice anyway. This is a powerful commander with a really huge effect. It's an obvious aristocrat token commander, but the rest of the deck is kind of schizophrenic. This guy could be brutal with edict effects, grave pact effects, blood artist effects. Check this guy out, Mr. House, President and CEO. Red, white, and a black for a legendary artifact creature. It's a human, it's a 0/4. Whenever you roll a 4 or higher, create a 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. If you rolled a 6 or higher, instead create that token and a treasure token. Has 4 in tap, roll a 6-sided die plus an additional 6-sided die for each mana from treasures spent to activate this ability. This guy's just max headroom. Remember that guy? He's just a corpse on the TV, dude, just like our senators and congressmen here in the US. This is a neat build around, but he's really his own deck. Pack this thing with D20 cards like Delina Wild Mage. Chances are you're going to roll above a 6 on a D20. I'm not sure if there are enough really good cards that roll dice for a commander deck at this point, but there will be more as life goes on and Mr. House brings his own party. Has that little treasure theme as well. It's going to be infuriating to play against as you watch some Chungus roll dice for the 40th time though. Alright, let's talk about what's new in this deck. And listen man, there are some really good cards and some that kind of missed the mark. We have this piece of garbage, Butch Deloria. I remember murdering this guy with VAT shots right to the dome, man. Get out of here. I like this guy for rogues decks. They're getting a little more love with each set. And then we have the Gary Clone. It's a nice solid little creature, squad creature. Bringing that back from 40k, which is nice for this deck, though Gary Clone doesn't really do too much by himself. We also have Secure Tron Squadron, which has a nice little token buff. Then we have McCready Lamplight Mayor, white and black for a legendary creature, human advisor. It's a 1/3. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, it gains Skulk until end of turn. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater attacks you, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It's just a literal child, dude. That'll keep your opponents from hitting it with removal, man. That's called tactics, dude. May keep your tokens safe, you know, but Caesar doesn't care if they die anyways. Aradesh the Founder. This is interesting. Whenever a creature you control attacks, if it enlisted a creature this combat, the creature that attacked gains double strike until end of turn. If that creature's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. It's kind of a weird card. Only creature in here with enlist. It needs you to get up to 4 power, but then it's a 4/4 with double strike that draws a card. It's not bad. It may be good, but it's so clunky, dude. And the creatures in this deck are pretty tiny. I'm not sure about this guy. Could be really nice in the right deck, or decks that are making 3/3 tokens every turn or something like that. Look at this guy. It's just a Booma Scrappa. He's blasting a bazooka in the wasteland. Dreadlocks wavering in the sun. 1 black and a red for a creature, human soldier. It's a 1/1. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you lose 1 life and create a junk token. Junk tokens are pretty neat. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. That's any token, dude. A treasure, a little dude who was standing behind this animal. Neat card for this deck. Here comes the Colonel, dude. Colonel Mustard. Just a big blonde fella. Just a real handsome dude out there. Nice jawline, you know. Let's not get too involved in what this guy looks like. Beautiful man. He's stunning, you know. Other legendary creatures you control have exploit. Whenever a creature you control exploits a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Not fantastic in this deck. Kind of a build around himself. Maybe spirit tokens or a counters theme or something. Craig Boone. This guy's drinking Boone's hard apple cider in the sun. I had to read this card like 11 times. Little question marks floating above my head. I don't have the attention span to even read these cards anymore, dude. I was reading this card, I had to turn the light off, take a little nap halfway through, tuck myself in, dude. I don't think an opponent will be too threatened by this guy until he's got like 6 or more quest counters, and by then, We've all gone home to watch The Bachelor, let's be honest. Aw man, here she comes, Edie, Lonesome Eyebot. 3 generic mana for a legendary artifact creature robot. It's a 2/1 with flying. Edie, my love, whenever you attack, if the number of attacking creatures is greater than the number of quest counters on Edie, put a quest counter on it. Has 2 and sacrifice it, draw a card, then draw an additional card for each quest counter on Edie. This little robot carried so many plasma rifles for me, dude. This is interesting. You can block a big flyer, then activate it at instant speed to draw 3 cards. I mean, that's it, probably. But in a deck that cares about sacrificing creatures, you can doubly benefit from Edie's death. Man, this Roman music's got me going this morning, dude. I might go build a road after this. Elder Arthur Maxon. This guy looks like Benicio del Toro. He's eating laser beams for breakfast. He's buffing tokens and acting as one of the few sacrifice outlets in this deck. Build an army of tokens, then sack them all for drain and value. And then we have Kellogg out here. Is he making Rice Krispies? No, dude. He's making clones. He's a dangerous mind, brother. 1 black and a red for a legendary creature, human mercenary. It's a 3/2 with first strike and haste. When this guy attacks, create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Kellogg's Cornflakes. Activate only as a sorcery. But listen, man, put the baby down before you attack, brother. That's just basic Magic the Gathering etiquette. I like this guy's Dome. Interesting card. He can probably pump out a few treasures early game. Overseer of Vault 76. I'm a sucker for a girl with a short haircut. Looks great. But she's a really clunky, really slow, cares about quest counters, and there's just aren't enough quest counters to make that happen. Forget this lady, man. Straight to the bulk box. Not like this one. Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty. 1 red and a white for a legendary creature, human knight. It's a 3/2. Has Battalion. Whenever the Paladin and at least 2 other creatures attack, draw a card. Then you may put a creature card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking, where X is this lady's power. And she's screaming into the killing ground. You may not want to say that to your soldiers out loud. You know, nobody wants to vacation at the killing ground. This is a good card in this deck, in any weenie deck. Equipment decks where her power is getting bigger. Neat card, Knight creature type 2. Yes, man, this is a stupid card. It's just like Humble Defector, but when it leaves the battlefield, you get to create a couple creature tokens. Most likely 3 or 4 creature tokens. You know, you can politic with this, make deals to get it back. I like cards like this in Commander. You know, it's kind of goofy and fun. You can use it for sack fodder later. Wild Wasteland is a neat little impulse draw engine. You're hopefully drawing an extra card with your commander, so this is really welcome in this deck. Desdemona, while having real style in the art, is another really clunky conditional card. Not sure how useful this is outside of a dedicated build. Alright, man, now we're talking Legate Lanius Kaisar's Ace. 2 black and a red for a legendary creature, human soldier. It's a 2/2. Has Decimate. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a 10th of the creatures they control rounded up. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. This guy basically comes in, 2 to 3 creatures get sacrificed, then you have this little 4/4 or 4/5, you know? This is how decks can get really brutal, man, with cards like this and Grave Pact, you know, stuff that has a sacrifice theme to make sure nobody has creatures. So you're sacrificing stuff, this guy comes in, your opponents are sacrificing stuff, throw Turgid in there, you get it all back. Come on. Here he comes, the Stranger, such a weird card. In the game, this guy comes out of nowhere and murked enemies in the Fallout games, but now he's doing weird things with graveyards. It's neat, it's really complicated, can be random. I don't know, man, no thanks. Rose, Cutthroat Raider. It's just a robot doing some cosplay here. 2 red for a legendary artifact creature robot. It's a 3/2 with first strike, has a raid. At the end of combat on your turn, if you attack this turn, create a junk token for each opponent you attacked. Whenever you sacrifice a junk, add red. That's fantastic. Such a neat card. Should have flying or at least floating, you know. Turns junk into funk with this sweet raider, man. Really solid card in an aggro deck. Sierra Nuka Fan is just a bunch of nonsense on a magic card. Looks like my ex-wife's sister's friend, man. And she was a trash basket too, brother. Wasteland Raider is another Fleshbag Marauder derivative, but with a squad ability. We can just sacrifice some Kaiser tokens, brother. They have to sacrifice real stuff, probably. Oh man, take me down to Niptown Lottery. 2 black and a red for a sorcery. Choose a creature at random. You gain control of that creature until end of turn. Untap it gains haste until end of turn, then destroy all other creatures. This is better if you're sticking non-creature sacrifice outlets in your deck. It's just a great board wipe in that type of deck, because you can just sacrifice it after you swing at your opponent, or for value or whatever. It's an efficient and flavorful board wipe. I remember when Fallout first came out, right? I'm at the Best Buy. I'm looking at Fallout on the right hand side and we had Call of Duty on the left hand side, and I chose Fallout. And that kind of determined my path for the rest of my life, dude. But it was because of VATS, man. VATS was one of my favorite mechanics in the Fallout games. And this is the card version, brother. It's fine. It's got a little versatility. It can take out token swarms, can hit all your opponent's battlefields, you know, if everybody's got a 2 toughness creature. It's just kind of fun, like the VATS system in the game is. Alright, so let's briefly talk about reprints. Secure the Waste is a fantastic token producer, scalable and efficient. It's got a little reprint last year, but it's nice to see another. Deadly Dispute has gotten a little pricey. It's an excellent card for this deck, turning those 1/1 tokens into draw on a little delayed ramp. Morbid Opportunist, come on dude. It's a fancy little card, doesn't care if the creature that died is non-token or token, and is exactly how getting married feels, dude. You got a lady taking all your stuff. Anguished Unmaking, this card's been getting hammered with reprints and gets another here. It's just an artist rendition of James abandoning his son again. This guy can't wait to abandon his son at literally every opportunity. He'd rather take a room full of radiation than hang out with you. Bastion of Remembrance, it's a great aristocrat card that really weaponizes our sacrifice. Comes with a little dude to kill, great reprint. Black Market, pretty neat old commander card. I'm just not sure it holds up in the modern meta though. Oh my god, Skull Clamp has this neat retro robot head. It's just a banger in this deck. And how about Pitiless Plunderer? It's got that sweet government power armor on there, man. That's me in the Fallout New Vegas angling for that swaggy power armor. This guy's just another aristocrat staple that has about 1 million combos. Great reprint. And lastly, Ruinous Ultimatum. I didn't know this got up to about $6, man. Look at these dudes. Look like the Techno Vikings crew rolling up, man. Kaisar in this art has my forehead. It's beautiful. So how are we going to upgrade this thing? Well, Mr. House is very much his own deck, and Kaisar wants token multitudes and sacrifice. Honestly, I would just build either of these from scratch. Your commander, Kaisar, is a light sacrifice outlet. He's a pretty decent token creator, and this raw deck has some payoffs. It also loves attacking, but there are too many nonsense flavored Nuka-Cola cards in this deck to make it coherent without replacing half of the dang thing. So let's talk about some additions that play into these strategies. First, we want to smooth out the mana base, add more 2-mana rocks and signets that are nice. We also want to take out the crappy tap lands, put in some crappy lands that can come in untapped. We want to be making lots of tokens so that we can capitalize on Kaisar's last ability. Company Commander is awesome, goes great in this combat-oriented deck as well. Mog War Marshal, it's great, 3 bodies for 2 mana. We can sack this guy the minute he comes out for value. Impulsive Pilfer is pretty dope as well. Kill him, and he drops his rings all over the place like Sonic the Hedgehog. Then encore him back and do it again. Then we have a Lend of the Dusk Rose, man. She eats blood, eats more blood, and then we pop her like a big old balloon filled with other dudes. And since we're making tokens, we need Mirkwood Bats. 3 and a black for a creature bat. It's a 2/3 with flying. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Gandalf hates these bats, and he's not in the Fallout universe, but what if he was, dude? He would still be awesome, and he would still hate these bats. This is a big time drain. Idol of Oblivion. Use all these tokens for card draw, buddy. We should be able to do this every turn after Kaisar comes down. I also added 4 2-mana aristocrats that drain when our creatures die. The Zulaport Ravemaster, Blood Artist, Cruel Celebrant, Wine Mom I call her, and Alas Ilkor, White Man of the Night. I also added some light sacrifice outlets to be able to get some value off our tokens like the Golden Throne here, man. 1,000 souls die every day. Tap, sacrifice a creature, add 3 mana in any combination of colors. Neat little sacrifice outlet that would be better if it was a Phyrexian altar, you know, but that's $30 again. You want to include some of those free sack outlets, but in this deck, you know, I kind of eschewed that in favor of these neat little cards. How about Braids, man? Arisen Nightmare. 1 black for a legendary creature Nightmare. It's a 3/3. This is a sacrifice outlet at end of turn and a life drain effect and some card draw. She looks like a Fallout character, I guess, brother. We also have an attack trigger off our commander, so we want to trigger that an additional time. There are some other attack triggers in here, so we put in Ishin. 2 heavens is 1. He's a Fallout staple, man. Look at this guy straight out of the wasteland. We also put the Commissar in there. I've won games off of this card. Don't turn around. The Commissar is in town, and she's making a brown all over your face, brother. And if our commander is a sacrifice outlet, we may want to add in a light theft theme, and by that, I mean mob rule, buddy. So those are my additions, but honestly, they're just the types of cards you want to add to this deck, and are emblematic of things you may want to slot in. So let's talk about some other cards that go well in this deck. Impact Tremors is another good one, or Impact Tremors on anabolic steroids. Perforos, God of the Forge. You may want to get old Mads Mikkelsen over here, Malik, the Grim Manipulator, man. This guy's 2 red, white, and a black. For legendary creature, human rogue, it's a 4/3. When he enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each secretly choose a creature that player controls, then those choices are revealed and that player sacrifices those creatures. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a creature, you create a treasure token. I mean, this gets into the more brutal version with Grave Pact and all that type of stuff. You may want to stick Turgid in there, dude. You can get the Negan. So you get Negan out there with the Fallout characters. You put Gandalf in there, you're going to be all set, brother. Could also stack some attack triggers like Mishra, claimed by Gix. This is a very potent life loss effect, and you can maybe get lucky and meld them if you stick the Dragon Engine in there. Or you could be like Nikki G and aspire to meld with this beautiful lady. Naali's Son's Vanguard. She's got those hands, dude. She's got that kung fu grip. Garna, the old blood fist, squeezing too hard as always, chopping heads in Dominaria, is a card draw and a little aristocrat theme all in one, man. This card is very underrated. Lagomos, Hand of Hatred. Looks like he's ready to commit to the Legion, dude. He's about to commit a hate crime. He's got that Maleficent hat, man, and a smoking hand. This list goes on and on. Honestly, I really like this commander. Kaisar is brutal. He's chilling in his chair. He's a beautiful boy. I'm not super into Fallout flavor, but I do like Mardu Aristocrats. I just might build it and buy the single. And that's wisdom, and that's better commander, dude. Remember, like and subscribe, and if you like this video, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the description, brother. Nikki G, signing off.